Let me ask you something. Why is it that some people talk about their dreams for years and never touch them, while others move in silence, and suddenly the world is calling them successful? It's not luck. It's not magic. It's discipline of the tongue. See, everybody doesn't need to know your next move. Everybody doesn't deserve access to your vision. And sometimes the fastest way to fail is to announce what should have been protected. Success is built in private. Victory is revealed in public. Today, I'm going to give you 6 things you must keep secret if you truly want to rise. Stop announcing your goals to everybody, not because your dreams aren't powerful, not because they aren't worth celebrating, but because the moment you speak a goal too early, you trade energy for applause. You feel accomplished just by saying it out loud. You feel productive because people nod their heads. But words are cheap compared to work. Talking about a dream creates a temporary emotional high, the same rush you should be earning through discipline, sacrifice, and execution. And when that high fades, you're left with the same distance between you and the finish line, except now you've wasted fuel you could have used to move forward. When you constantly announce your ambitions, you invite opinions from people who have never built what you're trying to build. Everyone suddenly becomes a critic. Everyone has advice. Some will tell you it's too risky. Some will say it's unrealistic. Others will disguise doubt as concern. And slowly, if you're not careful, their voices get louder than your vision. Doubt seeps in. Hesitation grows. You start adjusting your dream to make it more comfortable for them. Smaller, safer, less threatening. But your goals weren't given to them. They were given to you. And sometimes the best way to protect a vision is to shield it from unnecessary noise. There's another truth most people won't tell you. Not everyone clapping for you wants you to win. Some people applaud publicly but compete privately. Some smile in your face but feel insecure about your ambition. When you reveal your biggest plans, you expose your vulnerability. You show people what matters most to you. And while the right people will support that, the wrong ones may quietly hope you fail so they can feel justified staying where they are. Envy doesn't always look like hatred. Sometimes it looks like subtle discouragement. That's why wisdom requires discretion. Not secrecy out of fear, but silence out of strategy. Understand this: a goal is fragile in its early stages. Just like a seed, when you plant a seed in the ground, you don't dig it up every day to show people where it is. You don't expose it to harsh weather before it has roots. You cover it. You water it quietly. You protect it until it's strong enough to withstand storms. Your dreams require the same care. In the beginning, they need focus, consistency, and protection, not attention. The more you expose them prematurely, the more you risk weakening them before they've had a chance to grow. There is power in moving differently. When people don't know your next milestone, they can't measure your progress. When they don't know your timeline, they can't rush your process. You move at your own pace. You make mistakes privately. You adjust quietly. You sharpen your skills without pressure. And then one day, while everyone else is still talking about what they're about to do, you show up with results. No warning, no countdown, just proof. And proof is louder than promises will ever be. Make your actions speak so clearly that your words become unnecessary. Let discipline be your announcement. Let consistency be your update. Let achievement be your introduction. Because when you truly understand the value of your big goals, you won't feel the need to broadcast them. You'll feel the responsibility to protect them. And protection requires patience. It requires maturity. It requires confidence strong enough to work without validation. The world doesn't need to hear about your dreams every day. It just needs to witness what happens when you refuse to quit on them. Stop discussing your income like it's a trophy. Money is a tool, not a performance. The moment you start announcing what you make, what you just bought, or how much your last deal was worth, you shift the energy around you. Conversations change. People start calculating your value instead of appreciating your character. Some will congratulate you with forced smiles. Others will quietly compare themselves to you. And comparison is the fastest way to poison relationships. Protect your peace by protecting your numbers. When people know your income, expectations grow. Suddenly, you're the automatic lender, the automatic sponsor, the automatic solution to everyone's emergency. And if you say no, you're labeled selfish. If you hesitate, you're questioned. The same information that once made you feel proud can become a burden you never asked for. Wealth should create freedom, not pressure. Silence gives you space to make decisions based on wisdom, not guilt. There's also a psychological danger in constantly talking about money. When you speak about it too much, you tie your identity to it. You start measuring your worth by your earnings. And when income fluctuates, because it always does, your confidence fluctuates with it. Real power comes from knowing who you are without announcing what you have. Financial success should strengthen your stability, not inflate your ego. The louder you speak about money, the more fragile your confidence becomes. Not everyone around you is financially disciplined. When you reveal your investments, savings, or next financial moves, you invite advice from people who have never managed wealth responsibly. Some will encourage reckless spending. Some will push you toward risky shortcuts. Others may attempt to copy you without understanding your strategy and blame you when it fails. Your financial blueprint is personal. It reflects your risk tolerance, your responsibilities, your long-term goals. It's not a group project. Silence also gives you leverage in negotiations, in partnerships, in opportunities. The less people know about your financial position, the stronger your position remains. If they think you're desperate, they'll offer less. If they think you're overly comfortable, they may inflate expectations. Strategic ambiguity protects your advantage. The strongest negotiator is often the one who reveals the least. Money moves best in quiet rooms, not loud announcements. Build quietly, invest quietly, grow quietly. Let your lifestyle reflect progress without your mouth advertising it. The goal isn't to hide in fear. It's to operate in wisdom. True wealth isn't just about how much you earn. It's about how well you protect, multiply, and manage it. And the more mature you become financially, the more you'll understand this truth. The less you say about your money, the more control you keep over your future. Never announce your next move before you make it. Power moves in silence. Strategy grows in quiet rooms. The moment you start broadcasting what you're about to do, you weaken the impact of actually doing it. There's something about anticipation that makes people comfortable. When they know your plans, they feel included. When they feel included, they feel prepared. And when people are prepared, your surprise disappears. But success often depends on timing, and timing depends on discretion. When you reveal your next step too early, you invite interference. Some people won't mean to distract you, but they will. They'll question your approach. They'll offer alternatives. They'll tell you what could go wrong. And even if you're strong-minded, repetition creates doubt. The human mind absorbs fear faster than it absorbs confidence. Protect your clarity. Protect your focus. Not every thought deserves an audience, and not every plan needs approval. There's also a discipline that comes with silence. When nobody knows what you're working on, you remove external pressure. You're not performing for applause. You're not racing to meet expectations you created by talking too much. You're working because you decided to work. You're building because you committed to build. That kind of internal drive is powerful. It's stable. It doesn't depend on validation. And when your motivation comes from within instead of from reactions, your consistency becomes unshakable. Study the strongest competitors in any field. They don't reveal their strategy mid-game. They adjust quietly. They prepare privately. They execute decisively. Imagine a chess player announcing every move before touching the piece. The opponent would adapt instantly. Life works the same way. The less people know about your positioning, the less they can counter it. Silence gives you room to maneuver. It gives you the element of surprise. And surprise multiplies impact. Another truth, when you talk about what you're going to do, you sometimes satisfy the urge to achieve it without actually achieving it. The mind enjoys recognition. If you tell 10 people you're launching a business, starting a transformation, or making a major shift, and they praise you for it, your brain experiences a small reward. That reward can reduce the urgency to execute. It feels like progress, but it's only conversation. Real progress happens when no one is watching. Move differently. Let your actions interrupt the silence. Let your results answer questions nobody even knew to ask. When people wake up one day and realize you've already made the move, already built the thing, already shifted the level, that's power. No countdown. No warnings. No public rehearsal. Just execution. Because the strongest position in life is this: working in silence while the world assumes you're standing still. Not everyone deserves access to your pain. Read that again. In a world where oversharing is normalized and vulnerability is often performed for attention, you must learn the difference between healing and broadcasting. There is strength in being open with the right people, but there is danger in exposing your wounds to the wrong audience. Some people don't have the capacity to handle your struggles with care. They don't know how to hold sensitive information without turning it into gossip, judgment, or silent criticism. Protect your emotional space like you protect your physical safety. When you share your struggles with everyone, you unintentionally give people a lens to see you through. Instead of seeing your potential, they begin to see your problems. Instead of recognizing your resilience, they remember your breakdown. Human nature is flawed. People often freeze others in their weakest moments. They don't always update their perception when you grow stronger. That's why discretion matters. Growth requires safe environments. Healing requires trusted circles, not public commentary. There's also a psychological layer to this. When you constantly retell your struggles to multiple people, you relive them over and over again. You reopen wounds that were trying to close. You reinforce pain instead of reinforcing progress. Sometimes silence is not suppression. It's preservation. It's giving yourself space to process without external noise shaping your emotions. Not every battle needs a press conference. Some fights are meant to be handled in prayer, in reflection, in therapy, or in conversation with a mentor, not in a crowd. This doesn't mean you isolate yourself. Strength is not pretending everything is perfect. Strength is choosing wisely who gets access to your inner world. A trusted mentor can provide guidance. A loyal friend can offer support. A professional can give structured help, but the crowd consumes stories, they analyze, they speculate, they exaggerate, and sometimes they weaponize information later. Be mindful. The wrong ears can turn your temporary struggle into a permanent label. Understand this. You are allowed to struggle. You are allowed to fall. You are allowed to feel overwhelmed. but you are not required to publicize every valley you walk through. Some of the strongest people you admire fought battles you never heard about. They cried in private. They rebuilt quietly. They healed without announcements. And when they emerged stronger, the world only saw the strength, not the chaos behind it. That's intentional. Guard your heart. Guard your process. Let your transformation speak louder than your trauma. Share your story when it becomes a testimony, not when it is still an open wound. Share it when you are strong enough that telling it won't break you again. Until then, move carefully, heal intentionally, grow privately. Because not everyone deserves front row seats to your hardest chapters, but everyone will witness the power of your comeback. If you help someone, do it because it's right, not because it's visible. The moment you start announcing every favor, every donation, every sacrifice, the purity of the act begins to fade. Keenness is most powerful when it's rooted in character, not performance. When generosity becomes a public display, it slowly transforms into branding. And once it becomes branding, it's no longer about helping. It's about being seen helping. There's a difference. True strength doesn't need witnesses. If you feed someone, clothe someone, support someone, mentor someone, let that be between you, them, and your conscience. The world today rewards visibility. It applauds what it can see, but some of the most powerful contributions to humanity were done quietly, without cameras, without captions, without applause. Silent impact carries a different kind of weight. It builds integrity instead of image. There's also wisdom in protecting the dignity of the person you're helping. When you publicize your generosity, you risk exposing someone else's vulnerability. You may feel proud of your assistance, but they may feel embarrassed by their need. Real kindness considers the other person's pride. It lifts without humiliating. It supports without spotlighting. It gives without turning someone's hardship into content. Compassion is not a marketing strategy. Another danger of public kindness is expectation. The more you broadcast what you do for others, the more people expect you to do it again and again. Your generosity becomes an obligation. If one day you choose to say no, or you simply cannot give, people question your character. But when your kindness is quiet, it remains voluntary. It remains sincere. You give because you want to, not because you've created a public standard you must maintain. And here's something deeper. When you constantly announce your good deeds, you start to depend on the praise that follows. The compliments become addictive. The recognition becomes fuel. But what happens when the praise stops? Does the kindness stop too? If your generosity requires applause, it was never generosity. It was performance. The strongest character is revealed in what you do when nobody is watching. Help in silence. Support without signatures. Give without reminders. Let your reward be the growth you see in others, not the validation you receive from the crowd. Because when you build a habit of quiet generosity, you strengthen your spirit, you develop humility, you cultivate integrity. And integrity, not attention, is what sustains long-term success. Your long-term vision is sacred. It's not just a goal written on paper. It's not just a milestone you hope to reach next year. It's the picture of who you are becoming. It's the identity you are building in private, and not everyone has the capacity to understand that vision, especially when it's still forming. In its early stages, your long-term vision is fragile. It requires belief before there is proof. It requires faith before there are results. And when you expose something that delicate to the wrong environment, it can be crushed by doubt before it ever has the chance to stand. Most people only believe what they can see. If your vision stretches 5, 10, or 20 years ahead, it will sound unrealistic to those who only think week to week. They'll measure your dream against your current circumstances. They'll look at your present resources, your current network, your visible limitations, and they'll tell you to be practical. But practicality has buried more dreams than failure ever did. If you constantly share your long-term vision with small thinkers, you risk shrinking it just to make them comfortable. And a diluted vision loses its power. There's also a timing element to this. Vision matures with you. As you grow, your understanding deepens, your strategy sharpens, your patience strengthens. If you speak too early about where you're headed, you may feel pressure to explain details you're still figuring out. You may feel rushed to produce results before you've built the foundation. Silence gives you space to evolve without scrutiny. It allows your vision to develop roots before it's exposed to the wind of public opinion. Another truth, when people know your long-term plan, they often try to insert themselves into it. Some will want a role. Some will want control. Some will subtly steer you toward what benefits them. And before you know it, your personal vision becomes a committee discussion. But destiny isn't a group project. You can seek mentorship. You can collaborate wisely. But the core of your vision, the why behind it, must remain protected. Not everyone deserves access to your blueprint. There is power in letting people underestimate you. When they don't know how far you're planning to go, they measure you by what they see today. They assume you're thinking small because you're moving quietly. They assume you're comfortable because you're not announcing ambition. And while they're comfortable with that assumption, you're building layers, skill by skill, habit by habit, discipline by discipline, quietly expanding beyond their expectations. Protect the seed of your long-term vision. Water it daily with effort. Feed it with learning. Strengthen it with resilience. And let it grow beyond what words could have described. One day, when it stands tall enough that it cannot be ignored, you won't need to explain it. People will see it. They will feel it. They will recognize that while they were talking, you were building. So remember this: not everything that matters needs to be announced. Not everything that's growing needs to be displayed. Not everything that's valuable needs validation. Move with purpose. Build with discipline. Protect what's sacred. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them underestimate. While they're making noise, you make progress. While they're watching others, you watch your focus. While they're announcing intentions, you execute in silence. Because success doesn't shout before it arrives. It shows up prepared. And when your time finally comes, when the results are undeniable, when the work speaks for itself, you won't have to explain anything. They'll understand.